Bang, bang, Southern Fried Gang. Content overload this week and another special guest. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Southern Fried Sports. It is me, JD. You know me. You know all about me. We're going to talk relevant sports, relevant topics. Of course, we're going to mix in Gamecock sports, all of the above. But don't forget, let's go ahead and get all of this stuff out of the way real quick. GreenvilleSportsMedia.com, Arden's Burger and Grill, Beef and Rib. Y'all go check them out. We've got a fantastic guest, though, this evening. He is a former coach. And so we're going to talk about all of you fans and getting off of your high horse this evening. We're going to talk about the NCAA v. House or House v. NCAA, whatever you want to call that. We'll talk about that and what it means this evening. But we're going to have great content as always, and it is my pleasure to introduce Scott Stevens, Gamecock fan from down in Irmo. This guy actually went to high school with my freshman roommate. It's a small world, and Scott, you know how sometimes when people meet off the internet, as far as couples go, they're like, we met at a barbecue or we met here. They're afraid to say they met on the internet. But guys, me and Scott, we met on the internet. And here we are bringing you great content this evening.
We did. I actually, one of my college, post-college roommates was from Craigslist. I'm not afraid to admit it. We met at Schooners right there on Lake Murray. And we hit it off, man. I lived with him for like a year and a half. And then I moved away. So.
Yeah, I went down and worked at the Copper River Grill there in Columbia.
Oh, all right, yeah.
And I had to stay like in the Econo Lodge. And so I got a little bit familiar though with some of because I was from Lake Greenwood.
Okay.
You know, smaller.
Oh, yeah.
Up that way, so smaller kind of deal. But y'all, Scott and me, we're getting to know each other this evening. So Brian, Gamecock, Chuck, Mickey, all of you guys that are already in the chat, we're all going to get to know Scott this evening. He, by the way, I didn't fully finish introducing him. He is the former head coach of Irmo High School Swimming, the South Carolina Swim Coach of the Year in 2017, and he just recently left the #1 club program in the country because he says that, you know, he has to do family things. He wanted a different career path. So we'll save the head coaching stuff for later. But Scott, that's just a little bit more about you. For you as a head coach, though, what are your, like, give me a few main things. Like if you're trying to recruit me as a swimmer, I grew up at the lake. I could swim a little bit.
Sure. You know, the sport of swimming is such an odd one, especially in South Carolina, because it's not really in the forefront of everything. It's considered a fall sport. The season starts August 1st. And it really just goes until like the second week of October. It's like a month and a half, if that. It's a really short season because you don't really start competing until like mid-August anyways. But, you know, we did this recruiting based on our summer leagues. So based on the whole neighborhood teams, right? Like, hey, you know, the neighborhood pools you go to growing up, we did all of our recruiting based on them. And you know, where are you zoned for? You know, are you going to be going to Irmo? Are you going to Dutch Fork? You going to Chapin? You know, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden you start building a team. And then based on that team, you have what's called year-round swimming, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're a club, you swim year-round. And those are typically your better swimmers. You know, when I went to Irmo, I swam year-round for a local club there in Irmo. And it's something that you don't necessarily recruit from the school, but you do have a lot of people from the school that are like, oh, I'm interested in swimming. oh, what is this like? My favorite year coaching at Irmo was my last one. We actually had 4 members of the basketball team come out because they wanted some endurance. They wanted some dry land, some cross training, and hey, absolutely gave them a spot. One, it was really cool to interact at the time with Coach Whipple, who was the head basketball coach there. Um, it was really neat to kind of see his daily routine with his athletes and how he trains them and cross trains them. And, you know, given that I was a former collegiate athlete myself, I kind of had a little bit of insight into how can we translate them into their sport. They want to be part of our sport, but they're really in it for their sport. So how can we help them bridge that gap? And that was like one of the coolest things ever.
Right. Well, there was quite a few very cool things that you just said right there. What was so from your training as a swimmer, obviously it's different. What were you able to teach some of those basketball players that wanted to come over and get more endurance? Because listen, we all know that swimming is it's very tiresome. I
I don't
mean,
know
if
if you talk to a lot of people on Twitter, they consider it a leisure activity because I've been in many a conversation of, well, you're just a swim coach, you don't know anything. Like that has been my number one source of entertainment lately.
okay, so listen, okay, Chuck, he's over here. He says he swims like a rock. All
Heck yeah,
right.
man.
I've told my people before though too. I almost drowned when I was 4,
Oh wow.
but I grew up around a lake. Yeah, my parents thought I was going to go feed my Doritos to a duck. I saw the ducks. I wanted to feed them.
Sure.
I had a duck when I was 5 years old. His name was Tickle Thing. I
Oh
don't think
nice.
I've never even told people that
Some
on
truths are
Southern
coming out
Fried
here
Sports.
tonight.
Yeah, Southern Fried Sports. Make sure to hit follow. Y'all make sure to look up at Queen City Spurs on Twitter and follow Scott as well. We're learning each other this evening, and so we're talking about swimming. But yeah, I listen. It is a tiresome sport. I, I don't. Well, hold up. I was gonna actually talk about that sport versus. I mean, I don't even know. I'm not gonna call it a leisure activity
Sure.
like that guy did. But I mean, when there's sports, typically it's defined as someone who's playing defense against you.
Right.
So a swimming competition,
Hmm.
I mean, if you're the best, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The best is the best. Like it doesn't just because someone wants to say it's not a sport per se,
Right.
you
Right.
can't say that. But yeah, I grew up around swimming. I almost drowned when I was 4. I lived at the lake. I know that just jumping in the lake and there's more resistance.
Hmm.
A lot of people do it for therapy,
Hmm.
and that's because you want to test your body.
Sure.
But I don't want to hear anybody say, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to go swim because I want to have some fun." That's like saying I'm going for a run because I
Right.
want to have some fun.
It's exactly like it.
So Scott, yeah, to your point though, how how were you able to affect their endurance? Did those basketball players get better? Did they follow through with that other treatment?
I I want to say they did because in my coaching career and in my life and whatever, showing courage is huge to me. They took a large chunk of motivation to want to be able to put themselves in a situation like that, out of their comfort zone, out of their sport. Hey, they're going in, they might be one of the best basketball players on the team, but they're getting in the pool of people that do this all year round. And so what I had to quickly realize, and I used a lot of mentors that, helped me start coaching. And I was like, hey, I got these guys on this team that they're not really in it for sport. Like they're not in it for swimming, but how can we help them? Right. So
Mhm.
I basically formulated it what's called dry land in swimming. So it's basically everything you do outside of the water that's athletic, running, kicking, actually kicking's in the water. Sorry. Running, explosive movements. I'm trying to translate what we do in swimming and how it's not going to detract from the rest of the team. That, hey, we can get them the same thing, but then these guys are applying it past the sport. So there was a lot of lower body movements, right? Like a lot of kicking in the water. So that's natural resistance, a lot of explosive movements outside of the water. And we just kind of had fun with it. I offered them the chance to even, hey, you don't even have to compete if you don't want. And they're like, oh, no, we're competing. You could see the fire in them that they want to compete. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it was just about, hey, let's give you enough information and enough stroke technique to be able to function at a meet and be able to compete with people. And by the end of the year, I think I gave all four of them varsity letters because I had three criteria when I was the head coach. You have an attendance requirement, which it's funny to say that in a high school sport, right? Because you think, oh, you're in a high school sport, you got to be there every day. Well, in swimming, it's slightly different because there's year-round practices going on in conjunction with it. And so I'm like, hey, you're going to get the better workout over there. So you go over there. So I didn't necessarily hold it against them, but there was an attendance component, because some people do skip practice. It's just part of life of dealing with high schoolers. There was an academic component, and then there was a performance component that, like, I translated to the pool. How many first, how many second, how many thirds did you get throughout the season, and then just assigned a point value to it, and it always worked. It always worked in everybody's favor. You had to meet two of the three criteria to earn a varsity letter. So it was just a really good way to involve people in a sport that I grew up doing. I wanted to give back in, and I was actually young. I mean, I was really young when I took that job. I was right out of college, probably 22, 23 when I was the head coach there. Um, and so I was figuring it out too. And what helped me as a swimmer, how can I help the next generation of Ermo, or and luckily I've been able to coach on a national scale. So, how can I translate all these things into helping these athletes get to where they want, whether it's in our sport or not?
Man, that is so beautifully said. I have so many things to react to. So many. Um, the first one though is like you just mentioned, and one thing we'll talk about later is how quickly people sometimes want to fire coaches.
Mm,
And we just heard you discuss all of your different responsibilities just as a swim coach.
hmm
You're getting asked to help these basketball players, these other players, this, that, and the third. And so we'll lead into another conversation with the NCAA house settlement
mm,
and all of that stuff with head coaching. Let me get out a few of these comments.
yeah.
Scott, Queen City. P Digits, if you don't follow Scott, he is at Queen City Spurs on X. But this is one of my resident comedians, Scott. He says he can swim like a dolphin. He's so graceful. Swimming is no joke, though, but you got to earn it. And myself, you got to be graceful. Gamecock Chuck says, you do everything gracefully, P Digits. And P Digits responds and said, man, I'm just natural. We're kind of natural. I'm getting kind of natural at segues and talking about things.
There you go.
And so, Mark and P Digits, Chuck, all of you guys, just make sure to give Scott a good welcome. We've got so many more things we're going to talk about. We've got him for about another 30 minutes. So, speaking of how difficult it is for coaching,
Hmm.
now you throw in the portal, the NIL.
hmm
Scott, could you let's say for example that right now on Southern Fried Sports, I'm going to knight you a college football head coach for a day.
Oh
And
boy.
knowing what you know as a head coach at 22, you're a young and upcomer. You've had great success. How in the world would Scott go about navigating college football recruiting and everything else that you've got to deal with right now with all the money being tossed around, Scott?
Well, I'm gonna take a page out of Coach Beamer's book, and honestly, like you got to recruit your team first with all of the lights and all of the glamour and all of the flashiness everywhere around you. You have to make sure that your house is locked up first. And growing up in Columbia and Irmo and seeing everything that South Carolina has been since I can vividly remember being a fan of. It's really cool to see the amount of talent right now that wants to play at South Carolina. Um, I personally think you just got to make sure that your guys are locked up. And I think the Garnet Trust, I think Beamer, I think all the coaches, I think everybody around that program right now realized we have some really good talent that we can win a lot of games in the next 2 to 3 years. Let's lock them up. And I think they did a fantastic job of that. Um, so in my eyes, you got to make sure your house is in order. Then you got to start selling the person. Um, that's where I think again Beamer has had a lot of success. Is he sells the person on the relationship side of coaching. Um, and this is where I get so animated with fans that all they care about is the X's and the O's. They care about the wins and losses. And yes, they're important. I do not want to devalue wins and losses. I will never devalue that. If you're 0-12, it sucks. I've seen it. I've witnessed it 2 years in a row. But you have to realize that the relationships that some of these young men have with their coach transcends the wins and the losses. That it might not matter that they're a bowl eligible team, but that sport is helping that young man guide his life. And I don't think people that don't coach, and I'm not accusing anybody or anything, I don't think people that have never done coaching as a career. And again, I spent 17 years doing it after college up until last month. I just stepped away from the profession last month. So it's very easy to criticize wins and losses, but I don't think people realize how much these coaches, every sport, is guiding these athletes into what they're going to be doing in life. And I know that's kind of a segue into maybe something we'll talk about later, but that's my first area is you got to recruit your own house now
Right.
in today's age.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll park right there for a minute because we see Shane Beamer now on the recruiting trail.
Blowing it up.
He is doing fantastic.
Yeah.
He's only got 7 recruits. He's ranked 14th in the country. He
Mm-hmm.
just jumped over Ole Miss. And exactly, Chuck,
The
exactly,
Twins. Yep.
Scott. It's all about honesty.
Mm-hmm.
He's recruited up the middle where you need to start, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The person that touches the ball every time needs to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
Lenora Sellers,
Mm-hmm.
Air Nolan, Cutter Woods,
Mm-hmm.
potentially Duckworth, who people keep asking me about. When's Duckworth going to commit? He was already committed. He already flipped.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's living his best life with this process.
He is. And now all of these players, though, they're set up as good as they can be. But we talk about the real stuff here on Southern Fried Sports, and Scott just mentioned it all. There's nothing if you're not honest. There's nothing if you're not teaching these guys to be better men,
Mm-hmm.
to be, listen, the student thing is going away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The student athlete, that's gone.
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
out the window. I don't know what you're going to call them now, but amateurism is dead. And so going forward, though, all of these, the football team's going to be fine. Scott, and we might even switch off of what you were just mentioning there as far as your coaching stuff, but with this new NCAA house stuff,
mm-hmm.
we're probably going to see a lot of teams eliminated, a lot of sports
A lot
eliminated.
of sports, yes, and you're already seeing it.
You're going to
Yeah.
see some teams too, I think. But as far as sports go, how does that make you feel that swimming
Mm.
might go away?
I mean, swimming's been on the chopping block forever. Um, at least in terms of as long as I can remember the process of the recruitment process, gauging my interest in all these colleges, swimming has always been on the chopping block just because it's not a revenue generating sport. Pools run at an operating deficit, so you're always going to lose money on a pool. Um, it's just it's a really tough sport. Now, there are a lot of teams and schools that make it a very successful sport. Um, Most of them are rivals of South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Texas. They're all extremely successful in the sports of swimming. Um, but this hits home for me because might not be fans of this show, but Clemson, they cut their program right when I was going through the recruiting process. And
Oh,
it
really?
really, really sucked that a
So,
lot of my friends got axed completely.
yeah. So, did you miss out on a chance to Clemson as well?
I did, and and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate here, but whatever. Like my my view on it is it was an opportunity for my sport in the state, and there's only one opportunity for that sport now. College of Charleston cut their program, Limestone cut their program, South Carolina has theirs, Clemson cut their program, Coastal doesn't have one. Converse up in Spartanburg, they have one.
Yeah,
It used to be women's only, but the sport itself from a collegiate level in South Carolina is really it's lacking, and it's not for lack of interest because the South Carolina swimming community is very large. I mean, I live in North Carolina now. It's a much bigger up here, but when I was going through that process, swimming was cut at many schools, and then you just keep seeing it year after year. And especially with this House for NCAA thing, roster limits are going to be cut. Funding is going to be reallocated to other sports that need more funding now because they're the ones getting all the NIL deals. Um, it's a scary time in not just swimming, and I don't want to just talk about swimming. That's just my background, but it's a really scary time in collegiate athletics right now with all these unknowns. You
oh
got
yeah.
roster limits that are going to absolutely decimate teams. Um, I I don't know what the next 2 years is even going to look like.
I think they've started something that I don't think anybody wants to see finished.
I mean,
I
the NIL Go thing that they just released, that thing is open to lawsuits because now you have a system of checks and balances against NIL deals that companies want to give the athletes, but now you're going to have somebody sitting in a room evaluating all the deals,
mhm.
and maybe you have some bias that against this team, against this player, whatever it is. And I know there's probably going to be in-house teams doing this, so there's probably some level of protection in there for this stuff, but I, it's just too new to know. I mean, I'm not a subject matter expert on it at all, but you can read everything and you can see how this is going to go, and that thing's going to be open for lawsuits left and right.
Right. And that's the thing too about money. The more people that touch it, the more likely it is to get gone.
Right.
I mean, think about the NCAA. In this settlement, by the way, all of this ties right together. The NCAA with their settlement, they're agreeing to pay 218 or 2.1 billion, whatever it is, whatever the number is, 2.1 billion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Look it up.
agreeing to pay that much in back wages.
Right.
Does that not remind you of like a mega church? The dude on TV that says, donate to my church, give me money.
I just watched Righteous Gemstones, so yeah, that definitely reminds me a little
And they
bit.
never do anything for the betterment of their community.
Right.
The coaches, they're not in it. They're just in it to win and get the clout. I mean, it's just so weird. I mean, coaching though, I went to school to be a baseball coach,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to be a teacher
Sure.
in order to do it. Man, I saw a few classrooms.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would have been like. And I even saw coaching my son's 5-year-old baseball team this year. I mean, I had a little dude flip me off.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
I think
he was 5.
that's where the comments come in of like fans just don't understand what it's like to be a career coach. It doesn't matter what sport you're in. You've chosen to make this your career, so you have an obligation to these athletes that you work with day in and day out to help them be better people and hey, be better at their sport too. That's absolutely the goal, right? But your obligation is to the person, not the coach or not the sport. Um, and that's why I have such an issue when, and I know some people are joking on Twitter. Like I'm not gonna say Twitter is the land of truth. It's not. When the baseball team, right, they lost like 4 games in a row or something really early on. Everybody's calling for Paul already. Like he's been here for 6 games, 10 games, whatever it was. Like give him a chance to build a relationship with the players. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert in the matter at all, and maybe things are bad. I have no idea. I'm not in the locker room, but neither are they. Neither are these people complaining. So this is where my real issue comes in. And then it's the whole mindset of the devil you know versus the devil you don't. Uh, be really careful there. When you force a change, you could get something pretty rough in return. And I'm all about consistency, right? I think processes and consistency are two of the best things in the world for sport in itself. Um, I don't know. I think it's tough.
Right. And then, so we've already got, of course, Gamecock Chuck. He's over here. He says, yeah, fire pulmonary, but he was also just kidding.
Right.
And didn't I say, isn't that the beautiful thing about all these conversations? We were going to get to where we wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And Scott, he wanted to warn all of you fans about wanting to fire somebody too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So Gamecock Chuck, he got us there. The conversation led us there. We just mentioned pulmonary, but listen, y'all can find him on X at Queen City Spurs. P Digits, he's already a fan. He asked for your YouTube link. His
I
YouTube,
wish I had one,
you
man. I
know what?
used to stream on Twitch, but dude, I can't do that stuff anymore.
Right. Well, so we're going to talk about it though. Queen City could agree to be my new co-host since Aaron Rodgers backed out and signed with the
Oh,
Steelers.
oh man.
Yeah, man, I had Aaron Rodgers lined
I
up,
bet you had him
bro.
on the rope. That's what took him so long. He was trying to decide what he
I
wanted to
know.
do.
Yeah, Southern Fried Sports or the
I don't know why
Steelers.
he'd want to live in Pittsburgh. Gross.
I'm wondering if they paid for his flight for him to come sign the contract.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets did that. So that's probably a leg up on him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Scott and I though, we've just gotten to meet each other really well. Commenters, y'all are awesome. Chuck's in here. All of that about fire pulmonary. And listen, Scott, I will be as a Gamecock fan. Let's get real honest about
Sure.
Gamecock fans, real quick. I wanted to fire Mark Kingston.
Okay.
It was the inconsistency, not being able to get above the bubble. And
Mm-hmm.
so I am one of the ones that you need to give advice to because sometimes when you want to fire a head coach, the first question is, well, who can you get to replace him? I would have preferred a young and up and comer
Yeah, I
like
think a lot
Shane
of people
Beamer,
would.
like
Yep.
Lamont Paris. Like, I don't understand why Ray Tanner's logic changed. when it came to hiring the baseball coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought he was going to find Landon Powell.
I mean, relative to other people's opinion, I think Ray Tanner has a really good track record of hiring coaches. Personally, as a coach, I see where he's going.
Right. And that's the one, though, it kind of missed me, though, because he had went experience with Will Muschamp.
Mm-hmm.
And also the thing that really gets me about Tanner, a lot of us want to give him credit for Don Staley.
Right.
But that was before the fact.
That was Eric Hyman. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't old Ray Tanner.
Right.
But to the question and all of this Gamecock disparity that I'm talking about here,
Mm-hmm.
we were in the tournament with Kingston.
Right.
Super regional not too long ago.
Right.
You got to be careful when you say fire somebody because things are probably going to get worse before they get better.
Right.
And Scott, I'll let you take it away. Give the fans their advice.
Honestly, it's really tough to tell fans to only look at X's and O's anymore. Like I'm recalling a situation right now that I just read about on ESPN the day after the Pacers get knocked out of the Eastern Conference Finals. Not the Pacers. Who just fired? Somebody just fired
the Knicks.
The Knicks.
Yeah,
Freaking fired Tom Thibodeau.
Yep.
That is the dumbest thing in the world. You have been like, and I'm not harping on NBA because I'm a Heat fan, so this isn't indicative of the Knicks. You've been an irrelevant franchise for going on 25 years, and you fire the one guy who gets you the farthest in 25 years. Like, is that really the move? And so when you talk about Kingston and you talk about super regionals, he got us as close as anybody did to being Ray Tanner. I think he had a lot of things going because, and I know fans understand this, when you fire a coach, you ruin that relationship. You ruin the gap. You ruin the bridge. Then all of a sudden you have to recruit your own team again. How many people are in the portal right now for baseball? I don't know the number, but it's a lot. They all had relationships with Kingston and they wanted to give Paul a chance. It didn't work. It was a big gamble. I think it's really important to look at, and I know like ADs and everything do this, and we're fans. We pay the money. Like, a lot of fans like to say that is we pay these salaries. No, you don't. You don't pay them at all. Tuitions pay salaries. Tickets pay for venues. It's just really funny to hear fans, well, I pay their salary. And the one funny thing about that is when Dabo got a contract extension last, ticket prices at Clemson went up. So I thought that was kind of funny. That was a poor choice of decisions, revealing those in a row. But I think that fans need to be very cautious when they want to fire somebody, because unless there is a mega alum that has been public about coming back to whatever school it is, you don't know who you're going to get. You can have all the speculation in the world, right? How close was South Carolina to actually getting Kirby Smart? How close was South Carolina to actually getting all these big names that you hear online all the time? Again, not in the room, neither are they. So it's more of, it's going to help you enjoy the sport, and it's going to help you enjoy South Carolina better. You have to be loyal to your organization, not the person at that point. You have to just trust that South Carolina is going to make the right call, or any team. It doesn't matter. Now, I say all of this with prefacing, wins and losses do matter in today's world. Recruits don't come if you're losing. Everybody knows that. The public opinion is very strong. And also, if you're doing something wrong, whether it's legal, whether it's, unethical, whatever, then yeah, you probably deserve to get looked at in terms of replacing. But I, as a coach, again, 17 years, I have a really tough time when people sit there and just criticize coaches as a whole, because young athletes, and that's what these guys are, who I don't care if they're paid anymore. They're still 18, 19, 20-year-olds. When they make a mistake on a football field, that's not the coach's fault unless he taught it wrong, which historically you don't teach wrong at that level. You just teach at where the kid is. So they have to learn it, whether it's through experience or whether it's through repetition. It doesn't matter. I just have a really tough time when people like they wanted to fire Lamont Paris this year. Really? The guy who set the school record in wins last year, you want to fire him because he had a subpar year after some injuries and transfers, but you're going to go after Lamont? Come on. Yeah, that's the only thing I have to say is I don't think fans look at the whole picture. I think they just look at wins and losses. And again, not saying that they're not important, but I don't think they look at some of the relationships that these coaches are building with these guys. And then all of a sudden, if you start turning over coaches every year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, your school's never going to gain that consistency that you want in the sport. You're just going to constantly be rebuilding or constantly be reteaching because coaches do come in and clean house and teach new systems. They do. There's no blueprint at South Carolina that you have to do this. We're not Nick Saban. So, you're muted.
I was talking to myself.
That's cool. I do it all the time. In the car, especially.
I don't think you said a darn thing, though, that is inaccurate. I genuinely believe that, yes, a lot of fans get too tangled up in winning and losing. There should never be a coach who only gets to coach for 2 years.
Right.
1 or 2 years. I mean, when you bring in a college coach, most of these kids are making a 3-year commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they've just made the transfer portal entirely too easy.
Right.
Like, I get it. If your coach leaves, you can transfer.
Mm-hmm.
But they also need to hold coaches kind of to that standard.
Mm-hmm.
But if that coach leaves, then that player can leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one scenario. We've got kids with family problems.
Mm-hmm.
We had Diego Pavia,
Mm-hmm.
the portal, and the JUCO.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've got Rashul face on, had a medical red shirt, and he can't get cleared by the NCAA.
I have a bad feeling about that one.
I do too. Gamecock Chuck says he thinks he's going to play.
It feels way too similar to the receiver at UNC last year. It's a clear-cut case that they're dragging their feet on. It feels too similar.
I agree. I don't know if you care about hockey.
Oh, all right.
Florida 2-0 over Edmonton. Let's see what else we got.
Agreed.
Yeah. It can be a leisurely swim, but it's still exercise.
That's right.
It's a competition. Brian says Monty Lee needs to go. How do you feel about that, Scott?
Here,
hold on.
Okay, yep.
Since you deep side, let me explain it like I do and see what you think. Are you ever skeptical to go eat at somebody's house at a barbecue? You know what I mean? Like how they prepare food in the kitchen. I don't like eating leftovers out of other people's houses.
Oh.
Monty Lee leftover from Clemson. Even though he had a Gamecock tie.
What if he never coached at Clemson?
I would be more okay with it, but what's happened and everything, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I guess you could call him a leftover from your own kitchen because didn't he coach at Carolina before?
He just likes the state of South Carolina, man. I could sympathize with that. Monty Lee, he's an interesting one, right? You come across polarizing figures in sports sometimes that I think to his players, he's very polarizing. I think the players love him. I think the players absolutely love him. I think the fans want to blame a scapegoat and they see the Clemson tag attached to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I asked the question. I was like, what if he never coached at Clemson? So you
Yeah,
might have a different opinion. Who knows?
that is a very good question.
Um,
I probably would have a different opinion.
I mean, yeah, like he's very polarizing in my eyes, like a Lane Kiffin, right? You either love him or you hate him. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you freaking hate him, right? It's interesting to hear coaches and stuff that kind of do that, and you don't know why they switch schools, and they absolutely feel the rivalry on both sides. Like clearly they've been a part of the Clemson rivalry, he's been a part of the Carolina rivalry. They know it. Um, oh, okay. No, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, he's also been around the program for a couple years, and initially he had a lot of success. Initially, but it's tough to say with baseball, man. Like you can have the World Series champs lose 60 games in a year. Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
tough to know baseball in terms of wins and losses. And I I used to play baseball as a kid. Like again, this is like a kid, like travel ball, like
Mm-hmm.
stupid ball. But it's tough to say with baseball in terms of when you're going to get the right person and the right fit. I mean, and I'm going to say this too, in sport, there's a lot of luck. There's a hell of a lot of luck in sport. Ray Tanner winning back-to-back national championships hasn't happened since.
Nope.
And that was 13 years ago now, 14
Yeah.
years ago. Tennessee had a chance to do it, but they didn't do it. But it's really tough to win at the highest level consistently. I don't have the stat, and I tried to articulate it on Twitter one day. Look at the last 10 years of Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be a team on there more than 4 times. I'm fairly confident about that. And now I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, go ahead and clip this or whatever you need to do. It
Mm.
doesn't matter. I'm okay being wrong, but the level of consistency that some fans want immediately is just incredibly insane to me.
Right. Well, and hold on. And to clarify, when you
Mhm.
say we won't see them on there more than 4 times,
Mhm.
what in the finals, like the final two
Making
teams,
Omaha out of a 10-year
making Omaha?
span, you made Omaha 4 times. Would people consider that extremely successful? Because that's the level that the fans at South Carolina want.
Right.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't have it, but I don't think some people realize how hard it is to win at a high level consistently. Alabama did it. Great. South Carolina ended up beating them one year. You do lose.
Mm.
It's okay that some of these best teams and whatever they lose games. Like I said, the World Series champs can have 60 losses.
Right.
60.
Well, and to your point, yes, the best teams and the best conferences do lose. I know. Are you about ready to get out of here for
Oh
you?
no, I think I'm good for about another 10 minutes.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. But yeah, I think the best teams do lose. So what do you think about this college baseball smoke and college basketball smoke
Mm,
that the SEC is getting?
well, I
They
think
got all these top,
right.
into the postseason, blah, blah, blah. You've heard it. What do you
Hmm.
think?
I mean, there's metrics behind it, right? Like if you look at the metrics and the data, it's right. They do play the hardest schedules. They do play each other, which are ranked high. Like I think the biggest people that have a gripe with this basketball baseball thing is the ACC, because for whatever reason, it's been drilled into their head that they're a basketball conference and they have really good baseball teams. And well, no, you beat up on each other and you just added Cal, Stanford, and SMU. Really? Like, come on. You you have to add good quality to be considered good quality. If you just add teams to add teams, quick quiz. What is the best sport at Stanford and Cal?
Swimming.
It's swimming. Yeah.
And that is why we bring you swimming on Southern Fried Sports, ladies and gentlemen. I hope
And I
you're
only say
enjoying
that just
yourself.
because it's
I
relevant.
am. I'm having a blast. I hope all the
This has been
listeners and
awesome.
everything are listening.
Yeah. No, I think the metrics prove. I think the smoke is just by a single conference. To be honest, I don't think it's out of place. And of course, I say that as a fan of an SEC team. But when you look at the analytics and the metrics and everything, you can't argue some of those numbers, right? Like numbers don't lie.
Ball
But
don't lie.
yeah, that's right. Ball don't lie. Man, it is pouring outside. Holy cow!
Yeah, we've got some bad storms coming this way soon too as well. But yeah, we did have Chuck. He said that I was wrong. He don't think Ross Shule will play.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling, man.
I do too on that one. And so, Scott, though, man, it's been a pleasure to meet you so far.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. Oh, there was one other. So, Mark, he came in a little late. So, before we get you out of here, man, y'all make sure to go follow at Queen City Spurs on X. He and I are going to talk. Hopefully, we can work out a very consistent schedule.
I think we could do that
for him. If y'all enjoy him on the show, listen, my show, it ain't a show. I just like to be a bunch of fans to get together.
So, what is your thought on having a Tiger on the show?
Oh, I've had the sideline photographer for Clemson on my show before.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, Susan Lloyd.
So my like brother, he was like the officiant at my wedding, like everything. He was actually the head swim coach of the club team at Clemson, and he actually coached on the varsity team when it got cut.
Right.
Him and I have been talking about podcasts forever, man. Like just sport in general. So
listen,
he's a football guy.
I would love it. I mean, listen, that's the whole point of this show. And
sure.
Like I said, we're getting to know each other this evening. All of you fans, most of you know me.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being a good man. That's why I am the Southern Fried gentleman of Southern Fried Sports. You're going to get my opinion.
Sure.
Fully and honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to feed you any bull crap.
Yeah.
If I, like Shane Beamer and him getting into it, or Shane Beamer and Belima, like when they got into it, that I ain't here for that garbage.
Right. That's fun to watch, though.
It absolutely entertaining.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. You got to be better than that.
Sure.
And so on Southern Fried Sports, that's what we do. And so hopefully, yeah, your brother. I've mixed it up with Clemson Tigers, Buckeyes.
Ooh.
You ever heard of Kelly Ford?
No. No. But I wouldn't do Ohio State.
What have you ever heard of KFordRatings.com?
I don't think so. I not off the top of my head.
Dude, you'll have to follow him on X.
Okay.
Great. He's got, and he doesn't call them rankings. He's got his own algorithm he will not share.
Oh, okay.
But it is accurate.
Okay.
So yeah, KFordRatings.com.
So there was a question that you just popped up that I want to hit on.
Yeah.
Before.
And then we'll let you get out of here. Yep. I got to rambling. Go ahead, Scott.
So it was a question about paying players, but the money's going to go to these bigger sports. It absolutely infuriates me. And here's why. I have witnessed Olympic champions, Olympic gold medalists make absolutely nothing off of their name, off of anything. And this is this past year. They have a gold medal in the Olympics, right? Tell me that that's not impressive in itself.
Oh
But
yeah,
there,
absolutely.
yeah, there's a whole slew of women that swim at Virginia. Basically, Virginia was the women's Olympic team. Their NIL deals are poopy, from lack of a better word. But then
Mhm.
there's probably a UVA football player, and I'm not trying to downplay UVA at all. They're not the best football team, but you have Olympic athletes on their swim team that they probably didn't get much. I think the average, I think there was an article on this website called Swim Swam. It's like basically an ESPN for swimming. Um, the average NIL deal in the sport of swimming was like $600. Like $600.
That's just because they didn't want to get it taxed. So they
That's right.
probably, yeah. It was
But that's
probably,
part of the whole roster limit thing. That's just really, really a shame, right? So
it is indeed. And
yeah.
y'all, Scott, he is going to be here to defend those athletes.
Oh yeah.
We are going to work on getting him on again. He doesn't have to leave just yet. We've still got a couple of minutes.
I've got like 2 minutes left, probably.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. So, Scott, well, end it with a bang, brother.
Oh, end it with a bang.
Give me your best recruiting pitch or whatever you can do to end it with a bang. I say bang, bang all the time. End it with a bang.
End it with a bang. Oh man, you put me on the spot here. I was not prepared for this.
No, you got it. I got you. I believe in you. Something we haven't talked about. How about do you have a take on the Braves, the NFL, the city of Charlotte, Dave Tepper?
Dave Tepper can move out of the city of Charlotte if he wants to. I don't think many people here want him. Now I'm not in the city anymore. I moved a little bit north, but I don't think he's very well liked down there. A bang though. All right, here's one. Here's a prediction.
Oh.
And it's not going to be about South Carolina because I've learned to not bet on the team you love.
Nope.
Because there's too much heart involved in it, and you always expect them to do the best, which again really translates into everything we've been talking about today.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think the
I'm a
Panthers.
Pessimistic. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm
No,
a
you're fine.
I'm a pessimistic fan.
I think the Panthers.
I'm like, if it's 50-50, I'm like, they're gonna lose. But yeah, go ahead.
I
Kill it
agree.
on. Yeah. End this with a bang on the Panthers. Scott, you got it.
I think the Panthers make the NFC title game this year, and by the luck of the draw, somehow it's in Charlotte.
Wow.
Yeah, my wife's a Detroit fan, so that would be catastrophic for us. But
didn't they just change it though for the seating?
Oh,
I think they
have
just
they?
did. Yeah, I think the NFL just did for this. I don't know if it's for this year.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
they've got
if it
it
isn't,
where yeah, they won't be able to have, like, even though they won the NFC North or whatever, or the NFC South, like, you won't, whatever the best record is
Sure.
the best record.
Okay. Well, by the luck of the draw, I think somehow it's going to end up here in Charlotte.
Wow, the Panthers are going to be the best team in the NFC this year, y'all.
That's right.
You heard
Well,
it.
I don't know if they're going to win it. I don't know if they're going to win it, but they'll be in the NFC title game.
Well, here, before you go, have you heard this stat?
Oh, about the Ohio State
Ohio
Panthers,
State,
the correlation?
No, and there's another one.
Oh.
Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's the Ohio State thing, and it's the Jacksonville Jaguar thing.
Oh.
We open with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last two times we've done that.
I'm telling you.
I'm
calling it. June 9th at 9:25 p.m. I'm calling it.
Man.
Clip it.
Done. And doneer. Hey, because this is the internet and we never forget.
That's right. That's right.
So we've got Chuck, South Florida Tribune, P Digits. Scott, man, I hope you had a great time.
This has been great. I look forward to next time. There will be a next time. We will make it work. I look forward to it.
Here, I tell you what, I'll go ahead and end now. Give me just a second. Let me get set up. And then we'll get you out of here. But for JD, the Southern Fried Gentleman of Southern Fried Sports, GreenvilleSportsMedia.com, Scott Stevens went to college with went to high school with one of my college roommates.
Small world.
Don't tell nobody, but we met on the internet. So y'all be blessed, not stressed. We'll see y'all soon. Good night.